So I'm doing this video because I'm part of a Facebook group that we do deep inquiry, and inquiries has just been something that has been deeply a part of my life for the last 16 years after my first initial awakening, and it just has deepened since that time. So a really deep inquiry, one of the more deep ones that you can do is actually going deep inside yourself and then actually to the collective unconscious and meeting unworthiness in ourselves. And it's really not just in ourselves, it's in definitely the Western collective unconscious. So a really amazing gift is when we actually get to the core of our own unworthiness, and it heals and transforms, not by us doing it, but naturally truth and consciousness and love, they are transforming agents. So when we bring that to our own unworthiness, it transforms, and it will mostly leave our system. And so, and I'll talk a little bit more about mostly later on in the video. Again, this is a very deep inquiry, and if you're just kind of starting with inquiry, I suggest you start with something not as intense. Even though you might really want to have this resolved, if you actually come with that mentality, you want to kind of fix it or change it in any way, you're going to be spinning your wheels and you're not going to touch your unworthiness. So I'm going to try to just give you my experience with it, and I've had a really deep shift with this, and I felt unworthiness really just controlled my life for a long time. Even actually, it was, I was thinking I was at least 7-10 years post-awakening, so I had a deep awakening that changed my life forever, and still there was this unworthiness that was hanging along. So it could stay there for quite some time, even with some deep spiritual insight. So here we go. We're going to start inquiring into unworthiness. And I have a few notes, so I'll be looking over it once in a while because I want to make sure I cover the really important aspects of this instead of just free-flowing. I really want to cover everything so you guys really get something from this. So excuse me if I have to look at my notes during the video. So as I mentioned, this is a big one for the Western mind, and so part of that is what's something that we're good at, the Western civilization. We're good at like creating a lot of stuff, doing a lot of stuff, doing, creating, succeeding. United States is the biggest economy by far in the world, and I'm in California. I think we're the 8th biggest economy, not accounting for the rest of the United States, just California, the 8th biggest economy in the world, just this one little state and this big world of ours. So, it's in our culture. It's to succeed. So what's behind that? I would attest, and I found in myself at least some of that overarching needing to succeed, working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, giving up our whole life, a lot of joy in our life to work, try to make money, and we're miserable. So what's what is that? You can kind of almost feel a compensation that's happening in the collective. And it is. Unworthiness is at the bottom of that. And if you feel unworthy, you feel you need to compensate and achieve to maybe hope that you won't feel unworthy. And so it's an unconscious pattern, and actually succeeding won't make you feel any less unworthy. The ego will just want, the unworthiness will still be there unless you deeply inquired. And so even if you made $1 million, right, the ego will want 2 million. Once it's 2 million, it'll want 5 million, and then it just keeps going on from there. And it thinks the next thing will actually resolve this feeling of lack inside of us. So external success won't touch a deep unworthiness at the core of our humanity. So that's what inquiry is for. And I don't think there's any way around it. Like, you have to inquire into this. Maybe if you just fully open your heart and surrendered, you would surrender the unworthiness. But, for probably 99% of the rest of us, we actually have to really look at this and do a deep dive into our own being, into our own humanity. And number one thing is doing it with love. So if you go about this trying to change your unworthiness, trying to push it away, trying to fix it, trying to just, okay, I'm going to love it, so then it just is not here anymore, you're missing the point. If you start noticing yourself, if you start inquiring with unworthiness, that you're trying to just do the inquiry to get rid of the unworthiness, and this is true for any inquiry, especially the emotional, deeper ones, just stop. And there goes one of my favorite spiritual practices. The number one, it's the number one, underappreciated spiritual practice, and that's to stop. Just stop. Ego needs to continue to be. Ego is a process. It's not a noun. It's not a thing. There's no ego in us. It's a process. It continues itself by reflecting on the past and the future. So if you're trying to get somewhere, trying to get rid of something, that's ego. Ego is part of what put the unworthiness inside our being in the first place. You cannot heal unworthiness with the ego. It's not going to happen. So that's number one. That's most important, is you have to come from a place of love and understanding. So when it comes to working with the deeper emotional aspects in our humanity, I have found, I'm a father of 3 now, and really I think the best energy to come at with these deeper aspects, and actually I inquired into these deeper aspects before I had kids, so it's possible. You don't have to be a parent to do this, but it's really, think of like the ideal loving and wise parent. Let's say your kid scrapes their knee and hurts themselves and they come running to you. Are you going to try to fix them? Go, oh, what's wrong with you? You should pay attention. Right, a loving parent isn't going to do that. What's a loving parent going to do? Or they're going to, oh, come here, give them a big hug. So be naturally compassion and love for the child, and you're going to, hold your child until they calm down and then they feel better. So that's love. So we need to actually give that back to ourselves. And these deeper emotional aspects that are unconscious and lodged in the human body, they need this love from us. So we basically need to be the loving and wise parent that most of us never had. And so the really cool thing is that we actually can do that, and it's very transformative when we do that. And for most of us, we have to do that to heal parts of the human psyche that are in the collective and also individual in our individual psyche that need to be healed. So all of this work basically is leading to, so consciousness, or you could call life, some people say the divine, can flow through us and as us in a very authentic and true way. So when we have like unworthiness or these other unconscious patterns, it gets in the way for consciousness to come through our incarnation in a very powerful, unique, and clear way. That's kind of like the big picture of what life's trying to do, and that's part of why it hurts. And the more conscious you get, can hurt more. I know for me, the unworthiness, you could feel it more. You're more conscious of it. And so it's life putting pressure so you're aware of it so you can actually heal it. Life wants it to be healed. And so let's go look what that kind of looks like. Like I said, unworthiness will only open to love. So, number one, We got to come from a loving place in ourselves. And if you don't really know how to do that, start with an inquiry that's not as intense as unworthiness. And when you have some practice of like finding that place of loving compassion in yourself, then you could come back to maybe to this inquiry. That would be my suggestion. So one thing when we're coming from a loving place, right, we want to ask, is it true? Is it true that I'm unworthy? And so one thing we might find in that is the emotion might say, yeah, I am unworthy. You know, it's like saying that. At least it was for me. I'm not good enough. Mine was, I'm not good enough. And this is another important aspect to inquiry. So with inquiry, our mind can see, even like awakening a level of mind of emptiness, can see, oh, you know, no thought is true. It doesn't touch what I am. No, I'm not unworthy, right? I'm the unnameable. So that's something like awakened consciousness can do, more awakening a level of emptiness of mind. So, but that won't touch unworthiness, not something that deep in the human, in our humanity. So really in our humanity, these deeper emotional, unconscious patterns, they need love. They need a heart opening in ourselves. We need to open our hearts. There's just no way around it. Again, back to love. So it's good to ask, is it true? It's still good to ask, is it true? And then we can bring this transcendent awareness along with love. Along with love is key. And we can start meeting that unworthiness in ourselves. And really just being with it. And so we're not giving into, oh, I'm unworthy, and oh, you know, look at my life, and we start going to these stories of, you know, all the proof that the mind likes to come up with of our unworthiness. So we don't go into that, but we do kind of go into the feeling, and we can. It's powerful to allow our emotions to speak, and so it might have more to say about the unworthiness, and so allow it to speak what it wants without kind of getting stuck into the story. And so you want it to be heard. The form of unworthiness inside yourself, it might have a certain, I don't know, accent to it. And so you want to come from this like deep, loving, and clear, wise place, like a deep, loving, wise parent, and you're just opening up to it, you know, and you're allowing it to have its due, right? We've been running away from this all of our life. If you have unworthiness inside of you, you've been running away from it your whole life. Things can only continue if we keep running away from them. Again, stop. Most underrated spiritual practice there is stop. Unworthiness can't continue if we stop. Nirvana means cessation. So we open up and we allow it its due without going to the story of it. And so usually we'll have to revisit this many times. I had to revisit quite a few times. I had to revisit this, quite a bit. Where they talk about the onion, and there's many layers to the onion. Unworthiness is definitely one of those onions. Many layers to it. But it really just takes this loving embrace and this wisdom. And so something that actually, it's a mentality, because a lot of times when something's uncomfortable, we actually don't really want to experience it. We want to kind of push it away. But what's a golden rule is what resists persists. So again, resisting is kind of ego, is the mind. And it's a continuation, right? Not the stopping, cessation, it's the continuation. And so what resists persists, and transformation, you know, won't happen. So one thing, this actually was something I really saw in my gut, was actually after unworthiness, I met this clench in the gut, which is a no to life, a no to death, which I have mentioned on Inquiry group on Facebook. I first heard of this from Adi Shanti, but I definitely, he put words to my experience precisely. That's exactly what it was. This clench in my gut. And I actually, so that you could do this with unworthiness, but again, it has to be authentic. So one thing I was kind of going back and forth, and I had this really hang up on this, it lasted for years and years, and I was aware of it, really aware of it, for years, this almost continually throughout the day, most of the day, this clench in your gut. So not really the most comfortable thing. So I remember I got to a point when I try to do so much with it, which we do these things, they're deeper unconscious patterns. We try to do something with it because that's kind of all we're capable of doing with the state of consciousness that we're at. But I finally kind of got tired out. Basically, I failed many times of changing this clench in the gut. And I just found it in myself. I said, all right, that's fine. I told the clench in my gut, you can clench forever. You can clench for eternity, for thousands of lifetimes. If you want to reincarnate clenched, go ahead. You can do it. It's okay. And the key was, it was actually true for me. I was finally done. I was finally done resisting it, wanting it to be gone. And I just was like, fine, you can stay here for the rest of this lifetime, and who knows, next ones. And interesting enough, as soon as I found that capacity within myself, what happened? That was pretty much the end of it. Then the clench and the gut really started releasing, and now it's not a part of my experience anymore. And so that was a big turning point when I found that in myself to be like, all right, you can be there forever. Just like a loving parent would have the love inside themselves. If their child hurt forever from, when they're born, they hurt till the parent died, the kid died, God forbid, they were hurting, you would have compassion and love, and you wouldn't want to change your child. You wouldn't want to, you wouldn't want to have them shut up or something, and not, you would have this love for your child forever. So again, we got to bring that back to ourselves. And so I think that could be a really important indicator that we're actually, we can find that capacity within ourselves for something, allow something to be. We deeply inquired, we did the work, and it's still there. To find something in ourselves, it has to be true for you, that basically you're not trying to change it in any way, even though that it's uncomfortable. So that's an important one. Okay. So this is kind of contradictory to what we just kind of deep dived pretty deeply into, and I don't think most people will resonate with this, but if you don't resonate with it, then forget it. If you resonate with it later on, cool. It'll be there for you. So I actually found there was actually some truth to unworthiness, an element of truth. So our human aspect, right, is born in duality, is part of form, part of limitation, and our bodies are limited. So you could say, and then the absolute or pure divine consciousness, or the transcendent, it is pretty much perfection. So in the face of our humanity touching the divine, there actually is this authentic sense, at least I found in myself, of my humanness is unworthy of this divinity. And I kind of had this experience. I didn't really push it away, and there was some truth to it. And now I have to say it has changed. And maybe the better word, especially when I started, my first time I felt redemptive love, it was just really clear, I am not worthy to receive this. This love is just so, it's just so deep, profound. It's just so big and so beyond the human condition. It just, my humanity will never be worthy to embody redemptive love. And the kind of contradictory part about that is, as soon as I was feeling this, I wasn't worthy of this redemptive love. The calling was to embody it, was to actually be a redeeming presence, to actually give it back. That's part of like redemptive love. The hallmark of it is that it's given to you without anything, and it's like this call that to now it's your turn to give that, to be a redeeming presence in your life and into the world around you. So, but still, my humanity did not feel at all worthy enough to embody, to embody, and actually, there's a wisdom of there's not a chance that I could embody the fullness of redemptive love. Like, it's not possible for a human incarnation to fully embody like redemptive love. It's so beyond the limited aspects of ourselves and our humanity. It's so much greater than that. And so, but the call is to, embody it the best we can. So maybe a better term you could use is maybe not unworthiness. Unworthiness is kind of like a lower energetic, a more unconscious pattern, and maybe more conscious. If that was transformed to a more conscious value of ours, and it would be true humility. So humility is so important in waking up, and then embodiment, living an awakened life. Like, true humility is really important. Probably not stressed enough from what I've seen with teachers. So for consciousness to flow through us clearly, our minds need to be on their knees. They need to be on their knees forever. That's the whole point of consciousness waking up inside of us. It's us being mind identified and mind thinking it's leading the way and controlling and doing our life. And then that lets go, and we actually see the truth that life is living our life. And we're one with life. That's coming through us and as us. The mind is not in control, is not really doing our life. And so what happens is when we deeply embody, when embodiment goes to a deep level, the mind is just used as a tool, just like hands can be used as a tool, or feet are tools to walk. It's an amazing tool for humanity, the human mind. And so, but it's a tool. So it's not in charge, leading the way. And so this comes back, right? What I said in the beginning is coming from love, is this mind likes to be in control, likes to mess with stuff and control things. And so you gotta guard against that. You gotta be really aware of that when doing deeper inquiry into something like this, into unworthiness. So, but the whole point is for life to float through and as us, and it's leading our life. Because that's what's happening already. But for us to be aware and conscious of that, then things flow much more smoothly. And then the mind is used when it needs to be used, and it's quiet when it doesn't need to be used. And so it's a wise use of the human mind. And then you can see the gift. There's a huge gift to the human mind, an absolute gift. So, but it needs to be on its knees. It can't be in the driver's seat. And that's the whole point, is for it not to be in the driver's seat. That's why we're waking. That's a big part of waking up. So humility is really our mind, our body, understanding that there's this divine presence that is so unimaginably loving and intelligent that it is doing life, that it's creating everything. We are that, though from like the human perspective, it's like this just reverence. It's this total awe. The mind goes in awe. And it's just this natural humility, because the mind clearly sees this intelligence is thousands and thousands of times more intelligent than itself. And that's a really important insight to have, when the mind sees its own limitation and how universal intelligence is so much greater of an intelligence than our own mind is. This insight goes deep into embodiment, and it really goes deep into into the process of the mind finally taking a backseat instead of being the driver of our life, when it sees its own limitation, that it's not the smartest thing in life, in the world, and in one's life, then it really starts to settle down, right? If we really think the mind is so important, it's so intelligent, we're going to be engaged with it. We're going to be asking it questions and trying to figure things out and ask, oh, what's the meaning of life? And be mental about it. Oh, what's this? What's that? And we're just so, because we think it's the most important thing, most intelligent thing. Like, I don't, like mental inquiry, I did that for a while, but like now it's like, it's so limited, right? There's this intelligence living my life, the intelligence of all of consciousness, of life itself. Like that is living this life, that intelligence. The mind doesn't need to ask all these questions all the time anymore. But if you're doing lots of questions, that's okay. If it's authentic for you, I was there. Now, just insights and wisdom comes through intelligence. It's not coming leading with my mind. And actually, my mind didn't do a very good job of trying to answer these questions mentally. It just didn't lead to transformation. So now transformation just happens spontaneously. And that's really how it always happens anyways. So, man, I know we're going pretty deep. This is a deep inquiry, one of the deepest. So something that would just repeat actually in my thoughts, and I found it pretty peculiar. It comes to me every, a few times a year, more than that sometimes. But I was raised Catholic, and I didn't resonate too much with it. I definitely felt that some truth in Christ for sure, but a lot of the dogma I just wasn't really into, and I really just wanted a deep experience of revelation, because I saw all this revelation happening in the Bible, but no one was talking about how you could have revelation yourself. And so I intuitively knew, you could say past lives, probably. I just intuitively knew I could have revelation for myself. I mean, at a very early age, I don't know, at least at age 10, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10, I knew there was intuition I could have an experience. And so, but no one was talking about that. I don't remember anyone ever mentioning like a mystical experience, a Christian mystical experience, and any kind of guidance towards that. So I found plenty of transformation and awakening outside of the Catholic Church. However, back to my point. There's this beautiful prayer that you recite before you take Christ's body and sacrament, and you're supposed to do it every Sunday. And the prayer is, Lord, I'm not worthy to receive you, but only say the word and I shall be healed. So it's quite a beautiful prayer. I'll say it one more time. Lord, I'm not worthy to receive you, but only say the word and I shall be healed. So I don't know if you can feel in that. I know for me, there's this sense of humility. It's like our humanity saying, God, I'm not worthy to receive you. I'm not, like, my experience with redemptive love. Like, I'm not worthy to carry this love. And it's like this, our body mind is just like surrendering to this divine immensity. And that's why I really see that prayer, like we're taking Christ's body. It's like recognizing the Christ within us, as us, that aspect of ourselves, and our humanity, recognizing that. So I just think that's such a beautiful prayer, and it sums up where, there's some, humility is probably a better word than unworthiness, but this humility that is really tied in with this unworthiness and, helping unworthiness release out of our system. But there's this true, authentic, actually, humility that's important to find in our humanity. And so I think this is a really big thing with the topic of unworthiness, and something that I have found in myself to be important. And for humility to be, it's just a necessity for consciousness to live through us in a clear way. Otherwise, the mind is trying to dominate and thinks it knows. And you could probably get in a lot of trouble if the mind keeps trying to dominate. I mean, there's a lot of spiritual teachers with a lot of revelation and awakening start doing some kind of crazy stuff. And probably their mind they haven't found this humility in themselves, or haven't stayed with it. And it's this constant, like, going back to this humility in our humanity. And it's actually a healthy way to live one's life. And it's definitely, and yeah, that's what I have to say for that. So something else to say is, what's quite beautiful is, this is an act of love, of healing unworthiness inside ourselves. And actually it's bigger than that. It's an act of love for all of humanity, because we're one with the collective unconscious. We're one with humanity. When we heal unworthiness inside ourselves, we heal a part of the unworthiness in the collective. And so our own transformation helps heal the collective and makes it a little bit easier for other people to inquire and to unleash the unworthiness that they have inside themselves. So this work is so sacred and so deep and so meaningful. It's an honor to be able to be at a point in our life that we can actually start doing this inquiry. It's a beautiful thing for ourselves and what's on the other side of this, and also what we're giving back to the collective. So it's just it's an honor. I feel it's an honor to be able to have gone this deep in myself and be able to do this for myself, and then also to help not pass this unworthiness on, like, to my children and their children, and their children, and it goes on and on and on. So the impact that our one human incarnation has is significant. So it's absolutely significant. So at the end of the day, we have to come fully back for ourselves. No teacher, no teaching can do that for us. It's us. We have to come back to all the separate parts in ourselves, all the parts that have been alienated for whatever reason. We come back and meet them ourselves. We're the only ones that can fully meet ourselves in the most deep and authentic way. And it has to come from love. So thank you if you listened this long. I deeply appreciate it, and hopefully you have found something that is can be useful to you in your inquiry with unworthiness. This is a really, really deep one. Again, not the best one to start off with, but I know many of you feel this inside yourself, and and it just, if I was able to get through it, I know you'll be able to get through it if you truly dedicate yourself and know it's like one of the most important things for you to get clear on, and for you to see the truth of. And so, like, this, basically the majority of the path, it's pretty much a done deal. If we get our attitude right and we get our values aligned, we find the deepest thing inside of ourselves, and we hold vigil over that to the very end. No matter what, we will get to the bottom of our own transformation. It takes this absolute integrity, authenticity, and love to fully meet ourselves. And so that's a calling, and I think most of you that are listening to this, you have that calling inside yourself. You're already feeling it. That's why you're probably listening to this video. So I wish you all well. I wish you love and support with all your inquiries, especially with this one. And I really hope this video was of help. And again, thanks again for staying tuned for this long. Right, take care, guys. Bye.